Connor in Austin, Texas.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, man. Long time no talk.
How's it going? Yeah.
Doing well.
So I was wanting to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, what do you want to talk about today?
So I was wanting to bring up a couple of past experiences that still, for me, is a bit of a internal, it's just a lot of questioning. And it would be nice to see what an atheist viewpoint would be on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Good.
I want to, before I get into telling about the experiences, I want to say up front that, yes, there are caveats, but then there are also caveats to the caveat. So it's going to be a bit of an in-depth, back and forth in what's going, in the questions going around in my head sometimes.
Okay, well, we're gonna do our best to steer through this because this is a call-in show, and so as long as you're comfortable with us jumping in, asking questions, and kind of keeping things paced.
Yeah, in-depth back and forth is kind of our jam. So let's
Definitely.
do it.
Go for it, man.
All right, so there are two different experiences back when I was a teenager. One when I was 15, one when I was 19.
Okay.
Where from a personal viewpoint, it could be considered experiences with God.
Okay.
Okay.
How did you determine that?
Well, see, that'll be a part of the caveat later.
Well,
on how there's no. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm. That's just so you know. That's going to be what's stuck in my head the entire time. Is how did you know?
Oh, don't worry. That is part of the caveats to address it. That brings up the questions along with it.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, what happened?
All right. So I'll start with the one when I was 15, and just a bit of info about me personally is history with being an autistic individual. We're born with a condition known as emotional dysfunctional disorder. So as much as I can remember, I had always had a severe depression throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind where every waking moment you just don't want to be conscious because it's that bad.
Right.
And so this one evening in particular, it's just, I can definitely say it was bad, but not to a certain extreme without going into detail. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just really horrendous.
Yeah.
A way of feeling, and to be honest, without any way of being able to explain it, out of nowhere, this massive feeling of love flooded into my brain in such a way that it is something that I had never felt before or since. And it felt like a single drop of an entire ocean of love. Because I had the sense that the rest of it was just surrounding me, but only a single drop could get in.
Okay.
And it was and I forget the word for this, I forget the term for this, but the way I would describe how strong it felt is that, how a lot of believers say that when we get to heaven, we would feel so much love from God that it would be worth worshiping Him for all eternity. And it would be that's what it felt like at the time.
Yeah.
So now,
when I was a Christian, we called it agape love. This kind
that's what it was.
Yeah, unconditional love. So here's my question for you. How did you determine that pointed to a God?
Well, see, that's going back to the questioning I've had a lot lately. How could I tell that it was? Because the EDD, let's just say for short, was what I discovered within the last couple of years.
Right.
And yes, there is another aspect to this story, which right before the moment happened, and this was a moment where I completely lost the ability to tell time. It was that powerful. But right before that, I was listening. I'm sorry?
I said I've experienced that kind of depression. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I'm on medication now.
Same here. Cheers. So question.
So, well, one last aspect to add to this, to the final detail for this experience was at the time, I did have a radio playing a Christian music station. Mm-hmm. So that may lend some credence to that. That may have predetermined because my immediate thought as soon as this experience started was just God. Like that was just the immediate reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's those are the caveats to that first experience.
Okay. Can I summarize this and try and rephrase it back to you?
Sure.
You had an experience that you can't explain, right, and are attributing that unexplainable thing to God. So instead of saying it's not explainable, you're saying it has to be God because it can't be explained, right?
No, what I'm saying is with all the different caveats, there's no set determination on my part or conclusion as to what happened.
Okay.
But
the right answer would be I don't know.
Yes. It was just more of like a way to share an experience. But then there are also, like I said, caveats to these caveats.
Well, I mean,
so a bit like,
I don't want us to go so far down a rabbit hole that we lose, the thread here.
Right. Are these experiences, have these experiences influenced the way you see the world now, or are they just cool experiences that you're sharing? Because ideally what we're talking about are things that are kind of linchpins for your worldview and your faith, because it says here that you are a theist.
Yes, it did. It has had a profound effect on me as an individual in that the experiences themselves moved me in a way to show loving kindness to others, because it is something so beautiful that it's something that we should strive to show and just to show to each other and treat each other with.
Couldn't that be true regardless of your experience?
I mean, yes, but
okay.
From personally, it really helped to push it forward.
We've talked to people who personally think that the pyramids are the original site of the Garden of Eden, and who think that the Earth is flat. How do we determine, what is and isn't true? How do we determine, what we should accept as good evidence and what we shouldn't accept as good evidence? Like, Connor, let me ask you a question. Do you think that telling us about your personal experience is convincing for us? And if
it's not to convert you or anything.
No, but so why is it not convincing for us and it is convincing for you? Like, what about this meets your standard of evidence but not ours?
No, I don't think I made it clear enough. It's like these situations, yes, originally they had that effect, but now there's so much questioning in these that it was just to get a atheist perspective on this undetermined conclusion to experiences.
Okay. My perspective on this, because I've had similar experiences myself, not exactly the same, but overwhelming emotion to the point that came out of nowhere, where I'm not sure where it's from, that affected my ability to cognitively function for periods of time. My go-to is, first off, not sure what, but most likely explanation is I was experiencing some kind of mental thing, whether that was a rush of oxytocin or endorphins, or maybe my serotonin levels were off, especially because I do know that I have certain issues with those kinds of chemical balances, right? So a shot up of endorphins is going to feel amazing, and especially if I'm in a situation where I'm surrounded by media or a perspective, like you said, you were listening to Christian music at the time, especially in cases like that, I'm going to attribute it to something external, because that's what we're taught to do, and that's a survival instinct. Something's wrong, something external might be the reason, go look for it. But for me, it would be a purely internal biological chemical event, until proven otherwise. there's always that
Right.
door open, right? There's always maybe it's something else. But the most reasonable explanation that requires the least amount of jumping to extra conclusions would just be that my brain did a weird thing.
And in psychology, it's called priming. And so you are primed to have this kind of experience. And I suggest you look into it. The idea, like, here's my perspective, man. When you have an unexplained event, you look at what the likely causes of that event were, right? And you do some investigation, and then you determine, what is the most likely cause. And we don't have data on answered prayers working. I mean, there have been studies on intercessory prayer that have come out not good for the people who believe in intercessory prayer. It shows that it either doesn't work or sometimes has a negative effect. So we don't have that. We don't have definitive evidence of a religious God existing. So if we don't even have that, we can't include that as a possible explanation. You can't include, leprechauns or fairies in an explanation for something just because you don't know. What you're limited to are the options of things that do have an effect on the world. Maybe, it's likely something happened in your brain chemistry. It's likely that you were primed. It's likely that, anything from a psychotic break to being drugged is far more likely, because those are things that happen in the world, than a interventionary God coming down to fill your heart with happiness. Because wouldn't that God also have given you this lifetime of crippling depression? And that's kind of cruel. Like, that God would have done both, right? Like, they're responsible for the good and the bad.
Or what if God isn't responsible for either?
Well, then you can define God that way and we can talk about him. But if you're talking about an intercessory God, then that God is, if you're talking about an omnipresent, I don't know if you are, do you think God is everywhere all the time?
I don't even, that's a whole other conversation where I think those words themselves are limited due to the fact they are nondescriptive descriptors.
Okay, so then what is it that caused your experience?
God in the first place.
Okay, then how are you using that as a description or as a possible answer for your experience? It makes no sense.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, this was just a conversation on something that is undetermined.
Okay, then it's undetermined. I would say that it would be a bad idea to ascribe the supernatural to something when you haven't given enough evidence to show that the supernatural is even possible. I hope that helps.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, because when I first learned about my condition a couple of years ago from a therapist, it kind of like just I got into a state where I just completely ignored the God aspect. But then I started questioning out of an entire lifetime of every waking moment of my condition just leaving me in a horrible depression. Why did it only throw me into this one, let's say, 5-minute long experience of the extreme polar opposite, which is what the condition does? It just throws you to the extreme of an emotion.
Okay.
So it's more like a probability and a question on the probability or statistic, like why was it so uneven in how it would throw me to one extreme, but for an entire lifetime, but only once in and was essentially the exact middle of it for right now.
Well, I'm hesitant to get into the probability thing, because the probability of a thing that has already happened is 100% because it happened. But also, my question for you, Connor, is if let's say that this was a feeling of overwhelming love from a third party who wanted to give you that feeling in that moment. Would a being who I'm assuming in this theory is all-powerful only give that to you that one time? Would there be so many caveats to the caveats to the caveats if this thing really did love you and want to be with you and support you and help you in your time of crisis. Because for me, like if I care about someone, I want to be around them. I want to be there, and I'm going to make sure that they know that I'm there for them. And that's just one human to another human. If this thing is all powerful and wants to give you love, and they only give it to you for like a couple seconds in the middle of this massive depression, that feels like a contradiction, right?
I honestly don't know, because we're talking about something that, as we've already agreed on, cannot be proven, cannot be properly described through human imagining.
Not true. Just that's true for you. We have people call in with all kinds of different definitions for their gods. We listen to what they have to say and then kind of meet them where they're at. There are some people who could give a definition for a god that is rock solid and something we can investigate. And then it's kind of then the job to investigate it. But, yeah.
I mean, you're closer than a lot of people by saying, yeah, I'm aware that this is an unexplained event and I don't have the answer, so that's good.
Intellectually honest,
yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. I would just take that intellectual honesty into the rest of your worldview and make sure that you're not building a worldview on something that's unexplained, because that's dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah, but
all right, I think we've covered the first experience. Would you like to go on to the second one, because it is different?
Let's do the next experience next week. That way we can have time for other callers.
Okay, so then a bit of a teaser for it. It would be considered an answered prayer.
Okay, and what I'm going to ask you is, how do you know that it was an answer? How do you know it was answered? And, how did you come to that determination? And if the answer is, I don't know, then we're just calling in to assert random things that are unexplained, and I don't know how useful it is. So just kind of putting that out there, man.
I was just giving it as a teaser for calling in next week.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll get into it more next time.
All right. Okay. Have a happy New Year.
You too.
Bye. My thinking is, well, I'm always so curious about people who say they have objective experiences while doing something like being inside of a church or praying or listening to Christian music. Because to me, that suggests that maybe it's not a completely unbiased experience out of nowhere. Like if that's even if you're not like 100% believing this thing, it's your cultural experience. It is what you're surrounding yourself with.
Absolutely. And if it points to the Christian God, it points equally as much toward every other God that, you can look at other organized religions that have similar things and people report the same kinds of feelings. And so it's also the exact same amount of evidence for those.
Yeah.
And what about people who can, get that through meditation or going to a concert or experiencing art or things like that, experiencing a beautiful landscape or something like that. You get that same feeling as well. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden you have non-supernatural explanations for supernatural, claims. And
yeah, plus, I mean, people are like, well, I had this massive this experience that I can't explain, and emotionally it was very profound, and it taught me that God was with me. And my counter to that is, okay, if that's what we're going with. When I was deconverting, before I even thought about being an atheist, I had a massively profound and unexplained emotional experience that told me that God left. So if we're going with that as okay, so
which one?
So which one? What there then?
Absolutely, because that would be the exact same evidence pointing towards opposite conclusions. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.